is out there training people to do this. Stop it. I think that we spend entirely too much time trying to sell in our messaging instead of trying to earn a meeting in our messaging. When you approach sales as a scientist, as a data scientist specifically, you look at things that actually matter. Like maybe I'm confused. I worked 3 months to get that massive account to talk to you. And you went through BANT, and because they didn't have budget, you were like, thanks for your time. You, SDRs, AEs, salespeople in general, you are the value for the company. It's not the other way around.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Parakeets in the Nest. I'm really excited about today. We have James Buckley with us. He's the host of Sell Better. You've seen him on LinkedIn. You've seen him on his podcast, and we're really happy to have him. Hey. So James, welcome to Parakeet in the Nest yet. And for those that do not know who James is, introduce yourself, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows who James is at this point, right?
Yes. So if you know who I am, you know that I say inappropriate things for a living. That's not true. What I do is host the Sell Better Daily Sales Show. It's my favorite job in the world. They're going to have to fire me. I'm going to make it uncomfortable. I get to talk to the best sales brains in the game, the best sales leaders, and just talk about how they've won, how they've made mistakes and learned along the way. And those stories help other sales professionals that are in the trenches every day and their leaders level up 1% better every day. We're live every day, sellbetter.xyz. And you can watch all the replays on the website. Like, go, learn, come with us. We will walk with you. That's my job.
That's so much good stuff because you've been a practitioner, an evangelist, and a coach. What moment made you fall in love with outbound sales or just in general, the outbound world?
When I took on the additional responsibility on my own of coaching and helping individuals and started getting emails and DMs that were like, dude, that changed my life, or man, that tip that you said on that webinar that you just were a guest on, I scheduled 4 meetings with that template. Thank you so much. That is what I get up in the morning for. The idea that somebody could be a bartender or a server at a restaurant last week and an SDR that makes killer money the next week is the most exciting, electric feeling in the world for me, because that's what happened to me. I worked in the restaurant industry for 15 years. I did sales in and out of that 15-year gap because I wanted out of the kitchens and the restaurants. And I was successful at it. And then when I went to college and got out, I built a business out of it and I did the thing, and then I got hired at John Barrow's sales training. And that was like the best thing that could have happened because it really put me in front of a lot of people. And that's how Sell Better was born, from Chris Merrill and John Barrow's early partnership. And now John's back to training people and we're doing Sell Better. And it's like, it was all meant to be. And if you'd have told me when I started in 2014 cold calling people that I would host the longest running daily sales show in the world, I would have said you were full of shit and that would never happen.
No, and that's awesome. When we talk about traditional outbound sales, I think there's so many misconceptions out there. My Instagram feed is flooded with, the high ticket space where everybody's like, no, you don't need to cold call. You're just going to get warm leads in every single day and you're going to make $25K per month. And they show you this lifestyle of people in their Lamborghinis, Ferraris. And it's like, no need for cold calling.
I think there's some misconceptions about what success looks like in sales today. And I go back to what I started with, and this was I'm just going to give it to you because I think this is a realistic perspective, right? In 2014, I graduated as a non-traditional college graduate. I was 30 something years old. I had 4 children. I was recently divorced. It was unlikely that I was going to finish college anyway, but I did, right? So I finished. And then I started as an SDR. Did I need a degree in writing communication to become an SDR? Probably not. But it was required that you had a bachelor's degree of some kind to come into the company. So the education was my ticket in to this new salary. As a cook, I was lucky to clear somewhere in the neighborhood of like $27,000 a year. And at the time, 2014, like, that was
good money. Exactly.
it was okay, but it wasn't the $50,000 mark that a lot of bachelor's degree holding individuals were coming away with, right? So I got offered $30,000 plus commission. And in my first year, I cleared $50,000. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, because it was all about money at that point. In my second year, I cleared like 65,000. And I was like, man, this can go as long as I need it to go. In my third year, and again, I got a raise in my salary like $10,000 each year. I was a top performer. So they were like really wanted to keep me. They drove a lot of business. They were sending me all over the world. Like, it was a really good experience. So, after my third year clearing $80,000 a year plus commission, I was like, this is like more than my parents ever thought about, right? And it wasn't about money anymore. It was about lifestyle. Where did I want to go? What kind of person did I want to be next year? What did I want my brand to lead me down? The why I did it every day.
Why you're doing it, exactly.
Yeah. But then at the same time, 3 years in, I had already started like helping other salespeople. So I had all of this financial success happening and this business growth success, this brand growth success. But then I also had all these people coming at me going, thank you for helping me so much. And that feeling together in tandem was like, I could live this dream for the rest of my natural born life and it would never get old.
You're a natural. When you just said that, like, I connected on so many things that just like resonated with me, because like that's the whole reason for me. That's the why. Like, do I love cold calling? I don't. Like, do I want to get up every day and like pound the phone and like I run an SDR team at my current company? No, I do not want to pound the phone every day, but it's the why that motivates me. Like, I'm doing this to provide, for me, my fiance, my family, like to be able to travel, to be able to provide myself experiences that if I wouldn't do these 100 calls and book X number of meetings, this lifestyle wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't have met people like you, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. And that's why some people get lost. I think it's because they get like so caught up in like, I want to make more money. I want to make more money. They forget there's a why, and they end up being burnt out because they're only thinking of like, what motivates me is to make 300K, 400K, 600K, whatever a year, but they really don't have a why. And that why may be like becoming a better version of yourself, being able to help more people, providing for your family, your lifestyle. So I think that is important, the why.
I want to hit two notes that you talked about there. The first one is the tactical note of, quote, pounding the phones. I would prefer, and I'd said this to my SDR team in early 2018 when I took over 2017. And I said, I would prefer if you made 50 cold calls that were super targeted and researched and scheduled 8 meetings today than if you came to me and said, I just dialed 150 numbers, but I only got one answer and no meetings, which was kind of the norm. So when you say pound the phones, I'm absolutely not passionate about that either. I would prefer to spend that power hour block calling the companies that I spent some time last week setting up, so that I had a good contextual reason for reaching out to these individuals, these humans, and that would be my openers, right? The second part that I want to tackle is this lifestyle and financial perception that I think is quite skewed in the modern space. I have countless friends that have.
Have you seen the Instagram ads, like the ones I'm telling you about?
Oh, absolutely. But I'm very good.
Lambos down Miami Beach, and they're like.
So first of all, I'm from Miami, and there are no Lambos that aren't rented in Miami. That's my hometown, and there are no Lambos that are not rented Lambos. Sorry.
The fake lifestyle, yeah, the crypto.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle that is portrayed, not lived. Anyway, what I will say is that when I talk to the most successful people financially that I know, they will tell me they had record-breaking years last year, but they were miserable doing it. Record-breaking year. I just had a friend the other day that will remain nameless, very well-known influencer, very successful, and she said to me, James, I talked to my husband, and I don't want to make that again next year. I just want to make X. And it was a fraction of what she made last year. Her husband was very well off. He can carry the load for a while. It's okay. She was willing to take a step back financially because she recognized the fact that, yes, she found that path to success, but she was miserable doing it. And I tell people this all the time. I don't care what you do. It could be sales, could be management, could be leadership, could be retail, could be grocery. I don't give a shit. Whatever it is. If you're not happy doing it, go do something else.
Or if you're having to sacrifice like so many things just to make that money, it's not even worth it because you're burned out. You never spend time with your family. It's like,
right.
Oh, we have this. No, I can't go because I have that meeting. And and like what the whole reason why you're doing it, you're not able to be present there.
Yeah. So. A couple of weeks after she made this decision, her daughter needed her mother needed her, and she was able to be there. And she was like, I feel like this was serendipitous. That's amazing. And you're absolutely like, the universe speaks to us. We have but to listen.
I agree with you. And when I say pound the phone, just so that you know, I'm very targeted with my outreach as well. I just say pound the phone because I do a 3-hour cold call block like in the mornings. Just
that's huge.
I'm like doing like eat the frog. Like I am not cold calling in the afternoon. I'm just going to get done with my cold call block and like hit my daily quota. I have a personal quota of 2 to 3 meetings per day. Fun fact, on Monday I did 6, but that's Monday. I'm not going to do that every day. But that sets me ahead like for the rest of the month just because I want to relax like the last 10, 12 days of the month where I'm like, okay, if I only got one meeting today,
it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. I appreciate that buffer. I'm a one a day keeps the one-on-one meetings away. That's my mantra in life. If I can get one a day, and that's typically my default, right? Like I want to start my day getting the one.
Solid.
And then boom, I can move on to other stuff, right? Usually when I see quotas for new logos booked for SDRs, it's between 10 and 15 a month. That's very common. I've seen upwards of 20, but it's unlikely. And usually like there is a difference in like when that SDR does get to contact that person as well. If you're cold outreach SDR, you sit at the beginning of a sales cycle. It's a little more difficult to get to that 10 and 15 meetings a month in that setting. But if you are an SDR that sits at the end of a marketing cycle, you have loads of context to be building and crafting amazing messaging, contextual, connective messaging. It should not be difficult for you to get to that quota.
With the company I'm at, we're actually working. So we do a ton of inbound and paid ads. We have a BDR team that hits like the fresh new leads, and I run the SDR team where we hit the leads after 15 days that never connected. And it's insane because we're working with over 60,000 leads that never booked or like no-showed or like never no-showed to their demos. We got like 150 meetings last month, and it's
crazy numbers. Yeah.
Because of the context. And that's what got me thinking on like the general outbound playbook in 2025 is so different from like what like years ago. Like I just remember back in 2022, like there were no email infrastructure tools. Like everybody was just using outreach and sales loft to send out like sequences. Lavender came out. It was crazy. And everybody was like, this is going to change the world. Now we're all talking about AI SDRs. Like everybody's using ChatGPT. Everybody's using some sort of AI like in their sales process. And what worked 3 years ago, as I said before, it no longer works today. And that confuses reps because you're going into companies where their playbook is so old or their VP of sales still relies on like the traditional outreach, click per dial, like everything just changed. And that confuses reps. Like, where should I actually start if I'm getting started into outbound, email, LinkedIn? There's so much going on today.
Yeah. So for me, if you're new coming into the space, if you were a bartender yesterday and you're a sales development rep today, I will quote my friend John Barrows and say that, first of all, nothing happens overnight. Take your time and learn things, right? You can be a student for a very long time before you want to classify yourself as a practitioner. But John will say that we often believe that it's about this one call, this one email, this one social media DM that I'm sending. And instead, we have to come into it with a contact strategy mentality. right? Morgan J. Ingram, John Barrows have been preaching this for many, many years now. We try to zero in on this one thing that's going to get me a reply. But the truth is that it's going to take a lot for you to get on the radar of this stranger that is not expecting to hear from you. So take a step back and look at the emails, the messages that you're sending, look at the scripts that you're using, and ask yourself if you're trying to sell in the message or trying to create a conversation. I think that we spend entirely too much time trying to sell in our messaging instead of trying to earn a meeting in our messaging. If we earn a meeting in the message, then we can sell at the meeting, which is where selling is supposed to happen. But too long have we been under this cloud of try to get as far into the transaction as possible with the messaging so that, and I'm going to use this term because this is the way AEs often view it, and sometimes I feel like SDRs get hold over the coals for this, I only want to talk to people that are going to buy from me. Well, I'm sorry, that's not realistic. It's very frustrating for SDRs to spend 3 months digging into an account. Think about this, right? 3 months digging into an account. I've sent 8 emails. I've left 4 voicemails. I've had 2 conversations. I sent 5 connection requests. I connected with 3 people, had 2 more conversations, and then I scheduled a meeting with the account executive. The meeting with the account executive happens, and then I go back to the account executive and say, how'd that meeting go? And they're like, not good. And that's all you get. And you're like, why didn't it go good? Oh, they're not interested. Well, I'd like to see the recording of that call. That'd be amazing, right? Because like when you did it and you went 3 months to prospect this account, you had a lot of interested signals that were coming your way. You had conversations, you had notes. What happened on that call that you decided they weren't interested? Oh, they don't have budget. But that doesn't mean they're not interested. Are you unable to be flexible on the way that you're pricing out our contracts? Like maybe I'm confused. I worked 3 months to get that massive account to talk to you. And you went through BANT, and because they didn't have budget, you were like, thanks for your time. F you.
That's horrible. And I know the feeling. Like you literally just like made my blood boil because I know the feeling. Like I worked so hard. Like I'm a true SDR at heart. And like I know exactly the feeling that you're talking about because I worked so hard to just get this doctor and like book a meeting, and they're like, it's not qualified because whatever reason.
It's an amazing phenomenon that causes a lot of pipeline burning to the ground every month. And that's why we have to differentiate between what's in the pipeline and what's in the forecast. It's unfair that leaders come into a conversation and there are 60 accounts with 18 opportunities that are live, and they're like, tell me every detail about all of these things right now. And if you don't know, then none of this is real.
It just blows my mind as well. It just blows my mind as well.
Yeah. What else is amazing, though, is that there's a communication break between account executives and SDRs still after all this time that frustrates me to no end. We have so many tools that push discovery notes into a CRM. There is no reason for an account executive to be reaching out to an SDR and saying, what's the deal with this deal? Did you look in the CRM? Maybe for the notes? Like there's no excuse for the, yeah, listen to the call. Did you watch the recording by chance? Because it's all right there. Oh, no, that's right. I forgot. You only want to talk to people that are going to talk to you for 10 minutes and then swipe their credit card. That's right. This is how it feels. It's not realistic, but it's how it feels.
Or think of this scenario. The prospect no-showed and the AE made like no attempt to even like try to reschedule.
Yeah.
After the SDR like put in 3 months of work.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that these are still issues, but they are nonetheless. AI has done nothing to improve our ability to communicate with one another.
How do you feel about AI SDRs? I really want to hear your take on this.
I think they have their place. So I had this conversation with a friend of mine that I helped coach yesterday, actually. He was like, oh, AI SDRs just don't do the job. And I was like, that's not true. That's a misconception. Here's the thing, is that if your model is such that you need a certain criteria, checkboxes, to hit before a person makes it to an account executive. Go with your AI SDR. They're not going to have any emotional connection to all the rejection that they get. They're going to hit their 200 dials. They're going to hit their outbound email quota every time without fail, because that's what they're designed to do. But if you're doing that for 3 months, for a quarter, if you're doing it for 2 quarters, and you're still not coming close to the revenue that you want, perhaps take a step back and stop automating what you think your customers want to hear and hire some human beings to do some research, or use the AI to do the research first and then leverage the signals that AI feeds you to send more relevant messaging to further qualify these opportunities before they make it to a salesperson. But let's be honest, right now people are building agents that can buy from other agents. You know, our big argument in the AI world has been, until robots are buying from robots, my job is safe. Well, buckle up, people, because it's going to happen very soon, if it's not already happening in some circles. But we're also talking about industry diversity here. You and I, we function in the B2B SaaS space, the tech space. So our blinders are in that realm most times. But other industries like the construction industry, the merchandising industry, the manufacturing industry,
doing well in solar.
They're so far behind. And we think the world is going to explode from this. Maybe the B2B SaaS and tech world is suffering because of it, but maybe it's also thriving and the cream is rising to the top because of it. If you're not looking at it from 2 different perspectives, you're probably limiting your ability to learn and adapt.
Love that. Learn and adapt. I think that's what most people in like sales fail, because they become great at one thing and they put their eggs just in that same basket and they forget to learn and adapt. And like when we talk about multi-channel and the role that plays in modern outbound functions, like how do you feel about that in general?
That's part of iteration though, and I think that's becoming a skill that we have neglected for a long time. Coming back to something that you've tried in the past, changing it and trying it again with the same data set, with the same set of people, could very well be something that we should do over and over throughout our business building practices until we find that pragmatic approach. I am always cautious of people that say this is the way to do anything. Let's call it what it is, right? The talking heads of the world that speak in black and white terms are often selling their black and white terms. And that's okay, but there are 10 million other black and white terms that you should also be learning from, trying. Because A/B testing and finding a pragmatic approach for your target buyers is the only thing that's going to keep you afloat.
People forget how what you just said is gold, like A/B testing. I wish when we send out, like when this goes live and people are going to listen to this, A/B testing, they need to get this in their heads. Listen to James.
Yeah. Well, I think that we structure our practices on something that we believe to be true, and we don't even have any data often to support that. It's just a hypothesis. When you approach sales as a scientist, as a data scientist specifically, you look at things that actually matter. Things like open rates, things like reply rates, things like click rates. These types of data points will tell you what's resonating with your target buyer. I am the number one culprit of putting together incredible email campaigns that get 0 responses, right? And that's coming from somebody that trains sales professionals. But you know what? That's how I rule out what doesn't work. That's how I come back and I go, okay, we tried all these things and we can never do these things again. We can just throw them out. They don't work, right? Now let's try something new. And then you get something that gets like an 8% reply rate and like a 16% click rate and like a 45% open rate. And you're like, this is amazing. How many campaigns can we attach this messaging to because it works? If you don't approach your sales practices, your business growth practices, your marketing practices in this scientific way with a hypothesis, a plan to test, and an examination of results, you are going to constantly be guessing what works and never growing. And that is going to be the most frustrating thing for an owner, an entrepreneur, a team leader, And you are the person that's responsible for this as an individual across the board. It doesn't matter what your title is.
I love that. And like, I think that's what separates a good leader and a good outbound rep from
Mm,
a great one.
mm.
That's like the whole difference. Like,
Well,
just
that and their ability to take feedback.
that's the big one. Like, how well do you take feedback and how well you adapt to testing, and like, or sometimes just doing the same thing over and over again that maybe isn't working for you but is working for every single rep on your company, being able to adapt that to your own style and just converting that, the working playbook, converting that to what works for you. And you obviously work with a ton of reps. What's the one thing that most of them aren't doing that they should be doing?
I think A/B testing. A/B. We're back to A/B testing there. But if I want to give you a different, answer because we've already really tackled A/B testing. I don't think they create enough content that's relevant to their audience and share it on their own platforms, on their own profiles, on their own networks. I get in a conversation with a lot of reps that are like, "This is my personal Instagram," and like, I don't know if I want all of the people that I'm selling to be following me on this Instagram. I'm like, dude, you have a choice, right? One, you can go and edit the things that you post on Instagram because they're not for public view and then use that profile to attract your buyers. Or you can start a new page that's your business page. They're both equally efficient at doing what you want them to do. It's a matter of how you're willing to operate it and which works best for your lifestyle that you desire. So there's no silver bullets, right? But if you don't start creating content that acts as a magnet for the people that are interested in buying from you, it's going to be really hard for you to consistently find connective tissue with your prospects. And that's the thing that takes your reply rates from 3%, which is really good, and takes it to like 8%. And you're like, man, this is like top performer stuff right here. And that's where that's where we're all trying to get, right? Everybody wants to have the highest reply rates for their emails, to have the best quality pipeline when they get to that one-on-one, to have the highest conversion to paid close rate that the company has seen in the last 3 years. We all want that goal. So if you don't take the time to take steps to get there, you're going to consistently struggle to even see growth, let alone get closer to that goal.
Agreed. And I think that's super, super underrated and that people don't even talk about that there's so much hype out there going out, so many overrated like outbound tactics
Yeah.
that people are hyping, and they're not talking about the underrated cold outreach moves that we wished our reps used today. And to you personally, what do you think is the most overrated outbound tactic that you see people hyping up, and what do you say is the most
All right.
underrated outreach
I
tactic?
absolutely love this. So first, I'm going to call attention to a trend that I've seen recently that is driving me crazy,
I want to hear this one.
and then I'm going to talk about something that actually works for me,
Love it.
and it gets my attention every time without
You
fail.
made me smile with this. I love it.
All
I
right,
want to
all
hear
right.
this one.
So I don't know if anyone has been seeing this, but I am getting a rash of emails that go like this: "Hey James, this person that you don't know was researching and found you and suggested that I connect with you. I do blah, 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 and am the leading provider of da, 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 da. Is this interesting to you?" Now they copy in the message. They actually like have the message from that person
From the CEO.
underneath. Here's what I do. I go look for the person that did the research and found me. They never exist. They're not real. This is like you've started our relationship off on a lie right out of the gate.
It made me cringe.
And like I for my in my life, I'm like, who is out there training people to do this? Stop it. Right? Okay. So now the cat's out of the bag. That's pissing me off.
I
The
got
thing,
that. I've gotten those. They're like, my CEO told me I should connect with you, and it has the fake email, like,
yeah.
talk to Cynthia and try to get a meeting. And I'm like,
No.
no.
No. It's not even a real email, like that they got. Anyway, okay, we can talk about that. The thing that works for me, when somebody mentions content that I was featured on, or content that I've created, a point that I made, something I said in a show, I ignore other people and give these people attention immediately. And let's go back to AI. Use AI to find content that your prospects have been featured in. Go listen to that content. Use the language, the quotes, the things that they said in that content in your messaging. I promise you a massive boost, not just in open rates and read rates, but reply rates as well. Thank you notes for taking the time to give a shit about the person that you reached out to. AJ at Parakeet, him and I started talking about tacos. That's how we got connected. He has a taco fan in his LinkedIn. I am also a taco fan. We became great friends because of tacos. And now we send pictures of our tacos to each other. This is a real, and he's a customer. They've sponsored a Sell Better show, right? Like this is how you create a relationship with somebody. That's real connection, not, hey, buy from me. And that's what people run away screaming from.
You're completely right. I think people are getting caught up with so many trends that they feel like, oh, join the video, only send videos. Like there's tons of influencers telling people like, only send videos, only send emails, only do LinkedIn. And they're misleading reps into believing like, I don't need to do calls. I don't need to do this. Like there's these tools that are just going to basically do this like really fast for me. Like for me, boring works because it's the boring work, the foundations that take you where you need to be. I'm a boring person. I love repetition. I thrive on the boring tasks just because I suffer from anxiety personally, and I thrive on structure, like 200 calls, 200 emails, and like doing that little check mark thing. I thrive on that.
It's good to be a structured person. I have some things in my life I'm very structured on, like my workout routines and the things that I cook for my family, the laundry. I'm responsible for those things. So I have a very rigid structure in my house for that. But when it comes to a sales best practice, I feel like there are many structures, and those structures should be used in accordance with the type of buyer you're about to speak with. If you're smart, take 5 minutes. Here's a good tip for everybody. Before you send your first email to a buyer, read it out loud and capture your tone. Then go to their LinkedIn page. Look at their profile picture. Do they look like this? If they have a very serious face, I hope your email has a serious tone. Do they look like me?
Yeah, no, what's up, doc, with the
Yeah,
doctor.
you could be a little playful with me, and I'll probably respond a little more favorably. So know that you can judge that book by the cover based on the profile. Now stop at the about page. What's their love language? Are they talking about data and numbers and math? You should probably talk like that. Are they talking about people being inspirational and amazing and fantastic and wonderful? These people don't care about the numbers. They care about how you make them feel. Adjust your approach accordingly. And now you can look at their description right underneath their title. If they copied and pasted it from the company website, it's probably not useful. But if they actually took the time to bullet out the things they care about, I manage a team of 5. We're trying to hit 200% of quota this year. We are selling to these personas. I'm working on messaging and campaigns. Guess what you should talk about? Those things.
I love
So
that.
like that takes like 4 minutes.
You got me thinking right now when you said that. I love that.
It takes like 4 minutes, and you learn so much about this human being and who they are, and you can adjust your approach. Not who you are, your approach can be adjusted.
Your messaging, your relevancy. I actually just posted about that today on like my LinkedIn, and it's sometimes not just about better copy, it's about the right copy for the right person. Like
Yeah.
that's why most cold emails fail, because the message doesn't match the lead and you can't convert the wrong person with the with the right message, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all about being relevant to them. And like what you basically just said, the message that's going to hit them and create a pain or uncover or break a belief that's going to be relevant with them. I love that you said that.
Yeah, I think we struggle with relevance more than anything else. I think we talk entirely too much about our products too soon. We don't ask enough questions in our messaging, regardless of the channels that we use. We get one interest signal and we immediately go into cost. I think we should leave it to them to ask about cost. I do that all the time. And then sometimes when I look at somebody and they're very serious, I want to get to cost really early because I want to see how they react to it. I adjust my approach according to the research I've done on this human being. And I set a timer. I use an actual timer that I set for 5 minutes. And I do 5 minutes of who the is this person that I'm about to talk to. It's the most useful 5 minutes right before the call. And ChatGPT can also help you. You can put that human being's LinkedIn into ChatGPT and be like, tell me everything you know about this human. And you'd be amazed at the stuff. People do this to me. They still bring up the chili cook-off that I was a contestant in like 2017. I was gypped. I should have won that competition. It was bullshit. If you are a person that's been in this business long enough, you recognize the opportunity to sell many things. And that's a good thing. You can always become a referral partner. You can become a true marketing affiliate with people. There are a number of avenues of revenue generation for talented sales professionals that understand how to create a following, a network of people that find value and the people that you're connected with. I think we limit ourselves to our growth because we take a job. This is folly, right? Like it's a mistake that we all make. You have the job and that job requires you to hit a certain number. And if you're hitting that number, what's stopping you from hitting that number for another job? You could take a different job. Like SDRs, AEs, salespeople in general, you are the value for the company. It's not the other way around. They're not doing you a favor. Without you, the company goes under. I don't think that we recognize that enough.
I love that. And many people forget that. And to like everybody listening to us, what would you say recommendations in general in the outbound space in 2025? Like, what would you tell reps today? And what advice would you tell a younger James?
Well, I would probably tell younger James to sober up and think straight, but that's a different podcast altogether. My number one takeaway for reps would be diversify your channels. Recognize that channels have lots of different aspects to them. We think about the Holy Trinity too often: call, email, social. But what about video? What about voice notes? What about custom demos? What about like interactive value drops that they can play with and take away and you can track what they're looking at? What about like different ways that you can use the mail? My friend Dale Dupree sends wild stuff in the mail and drops things off.
I saw what he posted yesterday. Like,
yeah,
his replies were like, "Why the sorry, AJ, for this? Why the aren't you responding to my emails?"
Yeah,
that's a little bit too like extreme for me, but I'm
no, but he does drop off things at people's desks, right? Like it's a very different approach. And we limit ourselves. And it's part of it's onboarding. These people give us a laptop and a headset and they go, all right, here's your quota. Best of luck to you. And we're left to our own devices, and that's good in a way because everybody has to dive head first and really get their feet wet. But, stand out, do something that other people aren't doing, and you're going to find that you get more attention. That's the goal. You can't have a sale if you don't have somebody's attention. So get the attention first. Get good at that. And I find the rest of it really comes naturally. It comes easily. It's all a matter of getting attention. So diversify your channels and the way that you use those channels earlier in your career, and you'll find more success more often. I promise you.
I love that. And this has been by far one of my favorite Parakeet episodes.
That's good. I know you had Justin Shee and Tommy Slocum, so thank you for that. I'm in good company.
Really excited to have you on because we knew this would be a great one. I had so much fun. I always learn so much from you.